The world of software development is undergoing a truly profound transformation, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It feels like it's changing by the week.
Yeah, AI isn't just a coding assistant anymore. It's evolving into something far more autonomous, like a genuine collaborator.
Exactly.
And if you felt that dizzying pace, wondering what's next, well, you're definitely not alone. The way we build and interact with software is shifting faster than ever. Welcome to the AI Checkpoints. Our mission today is to take a deep dive into this rapidly evolving world of AI coding agents.
Hmm.
We've been sifting through some really fascinating presentations from experts at places like Anthropic, Sourcegraph, Augment Code, and Reflection.ai.
Some great insights there.
Totally. And we've tried to extract the most crucial insights and, practical takeaways for you. This deep dive is basically designed to offer you a shortcut to understanding.
Get you those aha moments.
Exactly, those aha moments without feeling like you're drowning in information. So, let's get started.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we dive right into the cutting edge of AI agents, let's maybe zoom out a little bit.
Good idea. Context is everything.
Right. Can you even imagine a time when programming didn't involve a keyboard, let alone a screen? We're talking physical switchboards back in the, 1930s and 40s?
It's wild to think about. It really puts into perspective how far we've come. Someone like Boris Cherny from Anthropic highlighted this incredible journey. He even shared this great personal story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his grandpa was apparently one of the first programmers in the Soviet Union. And back in the 70s, he'd bring home stacks of punch cards.
Wow, punch cards.
Yeah, and Boris's mom, when she was just a kid, would literally draw on them with crayons. She had no idea she was, doodling on code.
That's brilliant. Crayons on punch cards. I love it.
Right. So from those physical cards, we saw this gradual rise of higher level languages, moving from assembly really close to the metal.
Through things like COBOL and C++, and later this explosion of new families, Haskell, JavaScript, Java, Python.
The list goes on.
It does. But what's really interesting now, if you look closely, a lot of modern languages think TypeScript, Rust, Swift, go up. They're actually starting to converge.
Converge? How so?
Well, in their fundamental abstractions, the core ideas are becoming more similar, even if the syntax differs.
Ah, okay. That anecdote about the punch cards, though, it really highlights how much the user experience, the UX of programming has changed, too.
Massively.
I mean, think about it. From literal typewriters punching holes to the very first text editor, Ed Ken Thompson invented it, 50 years ago?
Yeah, about that.
And Boris Cherny pointed out it had no cursor, no scrollback, basically nothing we rely on today.
And yet it's still distributed on Unix systems. It's kind of amazing.
I know, I can barely function without undo these days.
Tell me about it. But that really primitive start led to some huge innovations in tools.
Look what.
Well, you got powerful text editors like Vim and Emacs, which were game changers for interacting with code.
Right, the classics.
Then, way back in 1980, Smalltalk 80, possibly the first graphical interface for programming.
Whoa, 1980. Graphical.
Yeah, and get this, it had live reload functionalities. Stuff that, modern frameworks like React.js still sometimes struggle with today.
That's incredible. Almost unbelievable.
Isn't it? Then Visual Basic in 91 really brought graphical programming mainstream, made it much more accessible.
I remember Visual Basic, drag and drop.
Exactly. Then later, Eclipse brought in static analysis-based type ahead, suggesting code intelligently.
Okay, yeah, getting smarter.
And then the most recent big leap, of course, was tools like GitHub Copilot. First single line, then multi-line suggestions powered by AI.
Right, which brings us closer to today. So looking at this path, programming languages matured, maybe even converged a bit, like you said. But the UX of programming and the AI models driving it, that seems to be on a totally different trajectory, like an exponential curve.
Exactly. It's really accelerating. And that acceleration is pushing us towards a completely new frontier.
Which is?
Well, Boris Kearney suggested that maybe Devin is the first IDE, the coding environment.
Yeah, integrated development environment.
Right. The first one to really crack that decades-long challenge of programming using natural language instead of just writing code directly.
Ah, so telling the computer what to do in plain English.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that capability is what really sets the stage for these sophisticated coding agents we're seeing now.
Okay, so coding agents. We've all seen GitHub Copilot doing its autocomplete thing, right? And maybe use chatbots for quick code snippets.
Sure, that's become pretty standard.
But now, Biang Liu from Sourcegraph AMP argues we're in a totally new era. Agents are the real paradigm shift. They're not just suggesting anymore, they're actually doing.
That's the key difference.
So what does that doing look like in practice?
That's a great question. Because there are really two main ways we're collaborating with these agents, as Heilong Zhang laid out. First, you have synchronous collaboration. That's the AI working live inside your IDE, almost in real time, like Copilot or Cursor.
Right, the stuff we're mostly used to.
Exactly. That's been maturing since about 2023. Pretty widely adopted now. But the second type, asynchronous collaboration, that's much newer and really embodies that doing shift.
Asynchronous, meaning?
Meaning bots, maybe like a specialized GitHub bot that you trigger manually or automatically. They go off, complete tasks on their own, and then submit deliverables like a finished piece of code or a report, often without you watching over their shoulder the whole time.
Ah, okay. So you give it a job and it comes back when it's done.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And that concept really only started gaining serious traction in 2024.
That is a fascinating distinction. And when we talk about agents doing things, here's where my mind starts to bend a little.
Uh-oh. Where are we going?
Imagine an AI coding agent that actually helped build itself. Colin Flaherty from Augment Code shared this jaw-dropping statistic.
Okay, hit me.
Over 90% of their agent's code, like 20,000 lines of it, was written by the agent itself. With human supervision, of course, but still.
90%? Wow.
Right.
That's not just automation anymore.
Right. It's like self-improvement on a massive scale.
It's incredible. Colin actually detailed some of what Augment's agent could do. It implemented core features, like integrating with third-party tools, Slack, Linear, Jira, even Google Search.
So it built its own connections to other services.
Yeah. And he told this great little story about the agent needing to add the linear integration. It used the Google Search integration, which it had written itself earlier, mind you, to look up the linear API docs.
No way. It used its own tool to learn how to build another tool.
Yep. And it wrote tests for itself, like unit tests for that Google Search feature.
Okay, that's impressive.
But wait, there's more. It even optimized itself.
It optimized its own code.
Yeah. It profiled its code,
Yeah.
found bottlenecks like some synchronous file loading that was slowing things down, and then it added a process pool to speed it up. It even wrote a stress test to prove its fix worked.
That's like having a tireless junior engineer who's also a performance expert constantly working on the code base.
Pretty much. A software engineer that never sleeps and is always looking for ways to improve its own performance.
That's a pretty strong argument for its virtual coffee budget. So how do these things actually work day to day? Colin Flaherty shared some examples, right?
He did. Simple but really powerful interactions. Like you could just ask it, hey, can you search Google?
And it would.
It would find its Google search tool, use it, and come back saying, yes, I can.
Yeah.
Maybe even showing you the top results. It's like having this hyper-competent, very literal assistant who also happens to be a coding whiz.
A very literal assistant. I like that.
And this all ties into the agent's problem-solving loop, which Colin explained. It uses different tools.
Tools
Like Google Search, a tool to retrieve info from the local codebase, a file editing tool. Crucially, a clarification tool to ask the user questions if it's stuck.
so it can ask for help.
Yes. He gave an example where it needed Google credentials it couldn't find, so it asked the user. And then this is cool. He used a memory tool to store what it learned from that interaction for next time.
So it learns from its mistakes or lack of information.
Exactly. Which just underscores how critical good context is. Providing the right information up front is key for these agents because these large language models, or LLMs, are highly programmable.
Right. Makes sense. Garbage in, garbage out, even for AI.
Pretty much.
Okay, so if these agents are getting so capable, what does this mean for our job? For the human developer?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Biang Liu from Sourcegraph AMP talks about an emerging skill set needed to actually wield these tools effectively. Apparently, a lot of us are holding it wrong.
Yeah, it's easy to fall into bad habits. Biang pointed out some common anti-patterns.
Like what? Give me the bad habits.
Okay, first one. Micromanaging the agent. You shouldn't expect it, or want it, to ask for permission for every single little edit.
Why not? Isn't that safer?
Well, if it has to ask you every time, and it's often wrong, it's just wasting your time interrupting you. The idea is for humans to be on top of the loop, guiding the overall direction, not stuck down in the weeds approving every comma.
Okay, steer, don't micromanage. Got it. What else?
Anti-pattern 2. Underprompting. Just firing off short, vague queries.
Isn't brevity good?
Not necessarily with LLMs. Because they're so programmable, power users write really long, detailed prompts. They give tons of context, specific instructions. AMP Their tool even made the default enter key. Enter key start a new line instead of sending the prompt just to encourage more detail.
Interesting. So more detail is better. Okay, number 3.
Number 3 is using agents just to get the TLDR too long. Didn't read summary of code.
Ah, skipping the hard work of understanding.
Exactly. Instead, agents should help you do more thorough code reviews. They can give you summaries, sure, but also suggest entry points into complex changes, making the review process easier and maybe even more effective, not just an excuse to skim.
That's a really important point. Use it to enhance understanding, not replace it.
Precisely.
Okay, so that's what not to do. But what are the power users doing right? How are they making these agents really sing?
Bianglu highlighted several key patterns. First, they're actively directing context and feedback. They explicitly tell the agent, here's how you run the build, or use this specific test script, especially if the project setup is unusual.
So teaching the agent the local customs.
Kind of, yeah. Second, they build really sophisticated front-end feedback loops. They use tools like Playwright.
That's for browser automation, right?
Exactly. And Storybook for UI components. They set it up so the agent can make a code change, automatically open a browser, take a snapshot of the user interface, compare it, and then iterate based on the visual output.
Whoa, so the agent can see the results of its front-end changes?
Effectively, yes.
Yeah.
It massively speeds up front-end development and debugging.
I can see how. Okay, what else?
Third, they lean heavily on agents for code understanding and review, like we just touched on, but really using it proactively. Onboarding new developers faster by having the agent explain parts of the code base. Tackling huge code reviews by getting high-level summaries first, then asking the agent to pinpoint the tricky parts. It makes reviews less daunting and, frankly, more enjoyable.
Less daunting is good. That massive pull request fear.
Totally. And finally, some real power users are running multiple agents in parallel.
Multiple. At the same time.
Yeah. Imagine working on something complex, like a compiler. They might have 3 or 4 agents working on different parts of the problem simultaneously, maybe even running overnight.
Okay, now that's starting to feel like sci-fi, having a little team of AI agents working for you.
It's happening.
So no more procrastinating on that monster code review because you just don't know where to start. The agent can help you lower that activation energy and just get going. I like that.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, Boris Cherny's tips for using Claude Code really mesh well with these power user patterns.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, he stressed code-based Q&A. Said at Anthropic, they teach Claude to every new engineer on day 1. It cuts onboarding time from weeks down to days because the agent can explain the existing code.
That's a huge win.
Huge. Another big one was teaching Claude to use your tools. Instead of complex plugins, you just give it simple bash commands or tell it about your command line tools. You can use these special cli.md files to give it instructions it can refer back to. It makes integrating custom workflows much easier.
Simple integration, that's appealing.
Definitely. They also push test-driven development, TDD, with agents. Tell the model, okay, first write the test that defines success, then tell it to write the code to pass those tests. It gives the agent a clear, verifiable target to iterate against.
Write tests first. Makes sense.
He even shared this wild example of teaching Claude to operate a 3D printer using a camera so it could see its output and iterate on the design.
Okay, that's definitely cool.
And finally, just reinforcing that point about context, providing more context using those clay.md files or special/commands. It's like building up a dynamic knowledge base for the agent specific to your organization or project.
It all comes back to giving the agent good information to work with.
Always.
Okay, we've talked a lot about agents helping humans be more productive, augmenting our skills. But what about the next step? Agents becoming contributors in their own right, like actual team members.
That's exactly where things seem to be heading. Heilong Zhang talked about Guru, this AI agent his team developed specifically for writing unit tests. Get this. Guru became the team's #1 contributor by commit count.
The #1 contributor. More than any human.
By commit count, yeah. It handled something like 80% of their unit tests and had over a 50% merge rate on its pull requests.
Wow. That's significant.
It really demonstrates how AI is starting to take over more routine, sometimes tedious tasks, debugging, testing, operations, which in theory frees up humans to focus on the more creative, complex stuff.
Like product strategy, architecture design.
Exactly. Tackling the really thorny problems that require deeper insight.
So how are these agents getting so smart and autonomous? What's the magic ingredient?
Well, a big part of it seems to be reinforcement learning, or RL. Akansha Chowdhury from Reflection.ai gave some really interesting insights here.
Reinforcement learning, like how AI learns to play games.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
She explained that RL, especially with human feedback added in, RLHF, was key to getting early chatbots to actually follow instructions properly.
Okay.
But the next big frontier is applying RL in areas where the output can be automatically verified, like math problems where you know the right answer. Or, crucially for us, coding, where you have unit tests, compilers, linters, tools that can automatically check if the code is correct,
Uh,
or at least syntactically valid and passing tests.
so the agent can get immediate automated feedback on whether it did a good job.
Exactly. And that ability to automatically verify correctness translates directly into intelligence for the agent. It can learn much faster. She called this the era of experience, moving beyond just learning from simulations or static human data and actually learning from real-world interaction and feedback.
Makes sense. Faster feedback loop, faster learning.
Right. Now, scaling RL is apparently still really complex. It involves intricate machine learning and systems engineering. But autonomous coding has this built-in advantage because automated verification is often readily available through existing developer tools.
So coding is a particularly good fit for this RL-driven improvement.
It seems that way.
Okay, so if there's one really critical takeaway here, especially for developers listening, about preparing for this more agentic future, what would it be?
I think it comes back to something Colin Flaherty learned the hard way. Better tests enable more autonomy.
Never test.
Yeah. His team's agent messed up on a tricky cache concurrency issue, a complex bug related to simultaneous access. Why? Because there wasn't a good enough test covering that specific edge case.
So the agent didn't know it was wrong.
Right. But conversely, when the agent could run tests, identify failures, and iterate on fixes for bugs, they saw a 20% improvement on their internal bug-fixing benchmarks.
20% is huge.
It is. It means having robust, comprehensive test suites, test harnesses, is becoming more critical than ever. It's not just for catching human errors anymore. It's for enabling AI agents to learn and operate safely and effectively.
So good tests are the guardrails for AI autonomy.
That's a great way to put it.
It really feels like the future of software engineering isn't about AI replacing humans, but about fundamentally reshaping how we collaborate. So pulling all these threads together, what does software engineering actually look like in this agent-driven world?
Yeah, it's a profound shift. You hear it from all the speakers we looked at. Byung Lu emphasizes that this isn't just hype. Using AI agents effectively is a very real and high-ceiling skill that developers need to cultivate.
Invest in learning it.
Right. Colin Flaherty points out that code itself isn't disappearing, but our relationship with it is changing dramatically. And that compounding effect of agents helping build themselves, that's just going to accelerate their improvement exponentially.
And his point about code becoming cheap.
Yeah, when writing the code itself becomes less of a bottleneck, the real value shifts. It shifts from raw engineering hours towards having great product insights, solid architectural design, really understanding the user's needs.
So the what and why become even more important than the how.
Exactly. Heilong Zhang's work shows humans collaborating with agents, focusing on that creative, strategic work, while agents handle more routine implementation and testing.
But someone's still responsible.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Delian Loy made that clear. Ultimately, the human is still responsible for the code. Agents are incredibly powerful tools to make us faster, smarter, more effective, but they are tools. We're still the ones steering the ship.
Okay. This whole shift from coding with AI assistants to coding through AI agents, it really does feel like a profound evolution.
It really does.
It's not just about automating away the boring stuff. It feels like it's about fundamentally rethinking how we collaborate with technology and maybe discovering where human creativity and insight truly shine. It kind of changes the game, letting us maybe focus on the really interesting, really challenging problems.
Indeed. And the path to actually mastering these tools, it's going to involve constant learning, constant adaptation.
Yeah.
Much like the AI models themselves are constantly learning.
Yeah, you have to keep up.
You do. It's an incredibly exciting time to be a developer, honestly. The learning curve might feel steep sometimes, but I think the potential rewards in efficiency, in innovation, in the impact we can have are just immense.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the really fascinating world of AI coding agents.
My pleasure. Lots to think about.
Definitely. We hope this has given you plenty to think about too, and maybe even inspired you to start wielding an agent yourself. See you next time.